All right, welcome to ULT. In this video, I'm going to go over all the chart settings that I use on a daily basis. You'll see these in my recap videos, and I don't want to go over them in those videos. So this is the video where I'm going to break down what I use, what the settings are, and hopefully that answers some questions. Before I get into it, I do want to call out that nothing in trading is new. Everything I have here, I've learned from somebody else and adapted to my own trading style. So there are two people that I want to call out. First of all, Robert Anderson. I'll put a link to him in the description below. He's where I kind of first learned about how to effectively trade moving averages. And then the second one is Day Trading Rockstar over at Day Trading Radio, who trades stochastics. And he's where I learned about stochastics. And so I'll add a link to those guys if you want more information on them. Anyway, let's get into my chart here. All right. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to go up to indicators, hit the indicator button. If you're not familiar with NinjaTrader, I'm sure most of you are, but anyway, here you have all the available indicators. I've added some things, so this isn't the default list. But it shows you all the available indicators to you. And then the box below that here, where it says configured, that's all the indicators that you show on your screen. So here's what I currently have on my chart, and we'll just go through them one at a time. Starting with the current day OHL, which is the current day open high low. And what that shows is it plots a line for the high of the day, the low of the day, and the opening of the day. Now the opening that it shows is the open at 5 p.m. Eastern time, when the market opens after its 1 hour close every day. That is the overnight open. And then it shows the high and the low point from there. I have most of mine to calculate on each tick because that way, as price is moving, the line is moving with it. I take the label out of all of my indicators. The reason that I do that is because if there's a label here, it's going to put some text up here where I have my date, this yellow text up at the top, the date and time. It's going to include information about this. So for instance, if I had a label on this that said OHL, and it comes when you first add it, it's going to have something in there. I don't remember what it shows exactly. But if I add that, you can see now it says OHL, GC June, 1 minute. So it's telling you what indicator it is and what time frame it's using to calculate that. I will try to keep my chart clean, and so I just keep that label off because with all of the indicators, it can get kind of cluttered. The visual I have here, I don't think I change any of these from the default. In terms of the line, color, and style, I'll show you what I use. This is completely personal preference here, but this is what I use. Goldenrod, the dash style is dash, plot style is square. And then width is 2. And you can play around with these, see what you like, see what you don't. And then I use sea green and red for the low and sea green for the high. The EMA, the first EMA that I use is the 9-period EMA. This is my green line, again, calculated on each tick. I have lime as the color because it pops against my black background. Dash style is solid, plot style is line, width is 1. So just a bit simple, not simple, it's a basic 9 EMA, 9-period exponential moving average. The next line on my chart, my gold line, is the 45-period EMA. So parameters, 45. Again, everything else is the same. Down here to the plot, I use goldenrod as my color of choice. Dash style is solid, plot style is line, width is 2. The next line on my chart is a simple moving average. It is the 105-period SMA, simple moving average. So under a period, I have a 105. All these are the same. Down here under plots, it is a red line. It is a solid line. It is a line. It is width is 2. Of course, you can go with all kinds of different stuff if you want to try weird, triangle down. You can make it look however you want. I just like lines. They're easy. The next one I have, this one is not available. The OpenRangeEXT. If you go into the Ninja ecosystem out there and you look for these open source guess they're not open source, but, and maybe I'll find it and put a link below, but you know, you can go out there, people create all kinds of indicators, and a lot of them are free. This open range is free. When you go and look for it, that's what it's going to be changed or going to be called. It's just an open range indicator. Here it is. That's what it looks like after you download it, open range. We've taken that open range indicator and added some extension lines to it. So you see on my chart, I have this 25%. And then outside of the open range, I have 25, 50, 75, 100. And I think, you know, it can extend as far as we want it to. I was doing Fibonacci extensions to get those lines, and we simply added them to this indicator just to make it easier. If that's something you want, we're happy to provide that to you. Leave a comment in the video below, and we'll see if we can get that over to you. No charge. We just don't have it published anywhere. But all the settings are the same as this open range indicator, which is easily available. The start time that I use, again, this is gold, which has a market open time for the New York session of 8:20. And so for the start time, I put 8:21 because in NinjaTrader, the candle date stamp or the time stamp on the candle is when the candle closes. And so for the start time, I have 8:21 because that would be the candle that begins printing at 8:20. End time at 8:35, so the first 15 minutes. And again, if you trade, you know, 30-minute open range, 45-minute open range, whatever, you can adjust this, obviously. I have the lines extended to 11 a.m. because that's the trading session that I want to use. Again, you could put it to whatever you wanted. The box line color I have is 1. I have it as light steel blue with a box shade of 10. So the shading inside of the open range is the same color as the line. Okay. And I have it at 10, which is an opacity setting. Really, if you have, you know, if I were to set this at 100, for example, it would make the box very, very dark. And I don't, obviously you can't see anything if you do that. So, you know, you can play with it, adjust it however you want. For me, I just like a little bit of color just so that I know that it's there, but I don't want it to distract me. And so that's what I have it set at, is 10. Midline style is dot. So that's this darker blue line. Well, it's a royal blue line. And the width is 1. You do have the option to not extend the lines. If you were to deselect that, it would only show that first 15-minute box. But I have the lines extended. I also show that midline price. These options here are specific to this indicator, which has the extension. So you can adjust the number of extensions. You could have it go more or less. You can have, again, the line style however you wanted, the colors however you wanted. So I have my major extension lines are a lighter color, so they match what's on the open range. So that major extension lines would be the 100%. Okay, so 100%, 200%, 300% of the open range would be this light steel blue. The minor extension lines, the 25, 50, and 75% are this darker color. And again, that's just my preference. I think that's it for that one. The next one I have is the swing indicator. What the swing indicator shows is it shows all these pivot points. It plots this little line just so you kind of can see where these pivots are. This is just a reference thing. The strength tells you how many candles will print on the chart before that swing indicator line will print. I have it set pretty low at 3. If you want, you know, you could have it at 7, 8, 9 or whatever. If you want more time to pass before that line prints. I like it to show up pretty much right away. So I have it set at 3. The color and the dash style, plot style, etc. are here. Dash style I have set at dash, plot style is hash, and width is 1. With the swing high is a dark cayenne, and a swing low is goldenrod. Just the colors that I picked. And that's how I arrive at the style that I have on my screen. The next one I have is the BarTimer. And what the BarTimer does is it counts down to the end of the bar. Because I'm recording this while the market is not open, down here you see BarTimer disabled, right? Because the market's not open, there's nothing to count down. Were the market to be open, then this would be counting down. And so that's very important. If you're trying to get in right at the close of a candle, you need to know when that candle closes. So you want that bar timer on your chart. The next indicators are the ones that you see in these fields down here, these dots in this line here, all these dots, those are my ATR. And what I use that for is simply to give me the range of the current candle, because when I enter on the break of a candle with a stop loss below the candle. I want to see what my risk is before going into that, and I have to make those decisions pretty quickly. And so this gives me an idea of the range of the candles. Sometimes it can be tricky, right? If you have your scaling kind of automatically set, one day you could have 10 tick candles, and then another day you could have 40 tick candles, and they look relatively the same on the chart, but they're not the same. And so having this ATR setting down here just lets me know the size of the candles. That's all I use it for. So I have the period set at 1, so I'm only looking at one candle at a time. Calculating on bar close this time because, you know, I don't need to know how big the bar is until it closes. For the plot, I have light still blue as my color of choice with a dash style of solid, plot style of hash, and a width of 2. In this next little section down here, that's where I have my stochastics. And so I have 2 different stochastic lines printed there. One is, well, they're both StochasticsFast. So if you go up to your available indicators and we go down to the S's, you can see there's a stochastics and a StochasticsFast. I use the StochasticsFast. Again, that's based on recommendation from Day Trading Radio. So the parameters are the D line is 3, the K line is 9. Calculating on each tick. The panel down here prints a line at the kind of the upper range and the lower range. So stochastics, if you're not familiar, print within a range of 1 to 100, or I guess 0 to 100. And so generally you want to know when it's at the top or the bottom of that range. And so these lines help delineate, you know, the top 20% and the lower 20%. And so dark cayenne, I guess, is my color of choice. You can see the style of line there, with the value, one line at a value of 20, another line at a value of 80. So you can see those ranges. For the stochastic lines themselves, the D line is the line I'm interested in, and that one I have is dark goldenrod on this on the 3.9 stochastic. The K line is not important to me, and so I have it as transparent. It's there, but I don't want to see it. The other thing that's important here is if you go up to visual under panel, that shows you which panel on the screen this line is going to be plotted on. You'll see that I have both my stochastics in the same panel. As you add them, it's going to put them in their own panel. So if you want them together, then you have to take and, you know, pick one panel and put them all in that panel. So for me, I have panel 3 is the panel where my stochastics are. The next one down here is the 1060 stochastic. So period D is 10, period K is 60. Everything else is the same in terms of, you know, the upper 20%, the bottom 20%. For this one, the D line is plotted as a Dodger blue solid line. The K line, again, is transparent because I don't care. And so those are the 2 stochastic lines, the plot down here. The next indicator I have is the prior day open, high, low, close. So just like the current day open, high, low, this one plots yesterday's open, high, low, as well as yesterday's close. My preference in terms of how these lines appear on my screen is I want it to be the same color, because if I see that, you know, this gold line, for instance, I want to know that that's an overnight, you know, in my mind, that's the overnight open line. And then I just change the style of the line so I know whether it's today's overnight open or yesterday's overnight open. The same thing with the prior day high and low. So I'll open those so you can see what those look like. And then we add, in this case, the yesterday's close. We already have kind of these red lines all over the place, so it had to be a different color line, so I chose purple. So prior close is well, it's slate blue, I guess. Look kind of purple to me. And that's the line that I use. The style on all of these are dash dots with a plot style of hash and a width of 1. And then the drawing tool tile. This is really just a shortcut. It's this little guy up here. If you have lines or trend lines, or, you know, the little measuring tool is one that I use all the time. This just gives you a shortcut to whatever you want to draw on your chart. So if you have the drawing tool tile and then you drop down this drawing tools checklist here, you can check or uncheck the ones that you want to use. You know, I'll scroll down here so you can see which ones I have checked. But this is, again, just personal preference. Whatever the drawing tools are that you use on a regular basis, it just makes it nice to have them right there. And then that can be, if we close this out, you can see you can grab this guy and you can move it wherever on your chart you want it to be. So that's it. Those are all of the lines that I have on my chart, and the settings that I use and where they come from. If you have any questions, let me know. If you found this information at all useful, I'd appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. And if you're looking to start an Apex account and try out prop trading, be sure and use code ULT for whatever the current best price is. That code will get you that discount. Anyway, that's all we've got for today. Trade safe, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.